And the question is, emissions from offshore oil drilling platforms in the Santa Barbara Channel are a major source of air pollution in the Ojai Valley. The current administration in Washington, D.C. wants to drastically increase oil drilling platforms in the Santa Barbara Channel. Even though the platforms would be in federal waters, would you support the city of Ojai officially opposing any new offshore oil drilling operations? And we'll start with Mr. Blantz and work this way.
I think that the cost-benefit analysis on a situation like this doesn't benefit Ojai nearly as much as it benefits outside areas, yet the detriment to our valley is significant because the air is coming up through a corridor and sitting in our valley, and people don't realize it. I mean, I spent my time in LA. When you can see the air, you know how bad it is. In Ojai, you can't always see it. But if you get all the way up to Ojai Valley School or Meditation Mound on certain days, you can see the brown haze that sits in the valley, especially towards the back of the east end. So I think that we need to look at that, and I would be against anything that's not going to be beneficial to our community, especially when the amount of oil that's being derived from these offshore oil rigs is not something that helps us economically, not something that helps the Ojai Valley substantially, and there's plenty other places to get it.
Thank you, Mr. Blantz and Mr. Weirick.
You know, this is a part of a larger class of issues that we've already faced in Ojai. We have found out by engaging county planning, and CFROG has helped educate all of us, the extent to which county planning has, just treated emissions from flares as exempt from study, regulation, et cetera. I've been one of the people that's been instigated appealing that very premise, and also shedding light on the issue, beginning with the Cohenstein hearing that we got in front of the city council, unprecedented, by the way. And so what I wanted to say is that this is just a larger class where if we're identifying pollutants into our valley, we need to be part of opposing it.
Thank you, Mr. Weirick. Mr. Haney.
When it comes to the environment, we're all in it together. When it comes to the environment, we're all in it together. It's that simple. Whether it's Santa Barbara, whether it's Ventura, whether it's any other city that's within our community, we should all be thinking that we are all one. I'd be 100% behind passing any type of bill that was going to help us protect our air quality here in the valley. The other aspect of it is not only is it just air quality, but if we don't start thinking about our water as a community, and I'm not talking about Ojai community, I'm talking about the Ventura County community. We have the same issue with water that we do with air quality, that we all want to protect our special interest or our only little interest, and we're not willing to work together. So again, if we need to do something with the county of Santa Barbara or the city of Santa Barbara to enhance or provide better air quality for our community, we should do that. We should be thinking about that in everything that we do.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Mr. Lara?
Yes, the question was, would I support Ojai opposing that bill? And I would absolutely support that. I would not think about it twice, especially if it's affecting our air quality. And to go back to what Councilman Weirick was referring to in terms of the hearing that we had that was unprecedented here for the city of Ojai, we did actually vote for the protection of the air quality for Ojai, and I think it was 2015 or 2016. So I'm already on record supporting anything possible to protect our air.
Thank you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Johnston?
Yes. Can you hear that? Yes. And we have, in the past, supported Hannah Beth Jackson's efforts here in California to try to find ways to not only oppose it, but to exempt us and be able to intercede to protect the air quality.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Johnston. The next question we have is submitted by CFROG, and gentlemen, you'll have 1 minute to answer this one as well. Ventura County is currently updating its general plan, which would apply to the unincorporated areas of the Ojai Valley. The plan will govern all land use, including zoning and development through the year 2040. In your view, what is the appropriate role of the city of Ojai in the Ventura County general plan process? We'll start with Mr. Johnson.
I think we should start by doing it here at home, where we have been charging people for a review of our general plan. We've already contributed money to CFROG and encouraged the Defense Fund to participate with the purpose of tracking what the county is doing and to make sure that we're not, under the guise of a general plan update, that they do not reduce the standards and protections that this valley has worked so hard to put in place. Steve Bennett will not be with us forever, unfortunately. Well, hopefully he'll live longer, but as he said yesterday morning, he's termed out, and he's been a stalwart, and I think we should be joining him, and we should make the general plan update a top priority, which I believe we've got our staff working on right now.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Lara?
The general plan is our constitution. That's how our cities govern, or how our land use ordinance and policies are developed are through our general plan. So I agree that we should keep it updated, but I think that Ojai in general, the city of Ojai, has done an excellent job protecting and preserving what we have in the city limits. Now, it's extremely important to be involved in the county general plan because that really does have an impact on us. And we have to work together with them anyways because we have policies that have to mirror or what we call spheres of influence. And so we have a fight, or we have a huge interest in protecting our surroundings and in working with the county at the general plan, especially when it comes to do with the air development. It would change the characteristic of not only the county, but it would definitely impact the city limits.
Thank you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Haney?
So this is another one of those issues that when you think of how we handle things individually and how we should handle things collectively. So right now in the general plan update for the county, there's special interest groups that are attending and there's individual groups that are attending, but we as a city have not put together a group of people that are specifically assigned to go participate and come back and inform. Right now, what we're going to have is who's ever going is going to come back and talk a little bit about what they heard, but we have no consistency with what we're hearing. So my suggestion would be, as a council, that we actually put together a group and then we actually have them go to the planning for the county, and we actually have them come back and report to us as to what they're hearing, what they're seeing, and what are the impacts to us as a community.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Mr. Rarick?
One of the things that this council has done different than this last 4 years that has been then, seen in recent history is leveraging the city's role, the recognized city's role, as the only municipality in the Ojai sphere of influence and the Ojai area of interest. We are supposed to be, at various levels, partners with county for the entire valley in terms of planning and land use decisions. And unfortunately, one of the things I found out early on is that staff were getting these notices about, does the city have any input into X, Y, Z that's going outside of the city limits, and staff was just putting it in the trash. Council never even heard about it. Well, we've changed that. And this council has gotten more engaged, and we need to keep getting engaged in terms of that awareness and engagement with the land planning processes for the entire valley, and that includes, obviously, the general plan. And we need to update our general plan. We need to do it systematically and aggressively, but we also need to keep an eye on what's going on with the county, not just what's in the words of the general plan, but hold them to it.
Thank you, Mr. Weirick. And Mr. Blatt?
Well, the answer is kind of simple. If the county tries to pass a general plan that's not to the benefit of our city, we should have the city council write letters, send a representative. We should give money to the citizens that help and the organizations like CFROG and like Sierra Club and other organizations that can help us get it done. We should organize our citizens, and our citizens should organize themselves to fight this at every level we can with the county. That's how you fight them back. Now, I know Mayor Johnson, I know he said in a couple of forums, Ojai tends to be a thorn in the side of the county. Well, you're darn right. If they're going to pass a general plan that we don't like, our job is to be a big thorn in their side as we possibly can. I think that we have to aggressively attack it because there's going to be massive amounts of dollars and very special interests that are interested in having us, to their benefit, get the detriment of changes in pollution, changes in the environment, and other economic changes that may affect us. We cannot turn every rock we can turn over to make it happen. To stop it, we have to do.
Thank you, Mr. Blatz. Before I ask the next question, for those of you who came in late, if you'd like to ask the council members and mayor candidates a question, we have cards on the back green table that you can fill out, and they'll be picked up, and we'll ask those questions after the 8 o'clock break.